Hey everyone, it's Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We got a little bit of a break week here. I say break week because we're taking a little bit of a break from the top 5 series so that we can jump back into our series of the top 10 movies from a particular director. This week we are featuring Ridley Scott, one that I know that not all of us are like super fans of, but it was kind of nice to run the catalog and visit some new movies and rerun a few old ones maybe for sequencing purposes. I'm joined again by my buddy Rich. Rich, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, guys?
Randy, who's a very happy camper. Yeah, he's one half of the Super Bowl this year, so he's very excited about that, and he's a huge Taylor Swift fan. So be sure to check out his channel for all Taylor Swift related albums. Anyway, and Doc, thanks for joining me, buddy. Appreciate it.
All good.
Hey, our last video we just did the 1975 one that reached 1,500 views. Very excited about that. We had a big bump from the Oscar nominations. I have a feeling from the night before that probably pushed it into the algorithm a little bit longer than usual. Yeah. But our present video from 76 is also doing very well too out of the gate. So that's usually in the nighttime because when it starts circling the world, I actually get more views at night than I do during the day. So it means people from around the world are kind of watching the video. So guys, Ridley Scott, difficult task for you, easy, middle of the road. What do you got?
I would say, I think at the top end of Ridley Scott's catalog here, it's pretty solid. You can run through the first half of the list on a list of 10 of his movies and have something pretty similar, I think, in a lot of cases. But the bottom half of a 10 list, I think, is going to be some personal choices for you and something that's going to fit more your sweet spot. So he's got quite the gamut, and he's pretty diverse in what he brings to the table in a lot of his movies too. It's not just sci-fi, it's not just horror, it's not just action, it's not just doesn't really go into the comedy side, but suspense and stuff like that. He's got quite the gamut. So wide range of films and lots to choose from. So good stuff from Ridley, I think.
Yeah, Randy.
I think, most of his movies are usually at least entertaining. You might not like how they're structured sometimes, but and they're long, kind of like Martin Scorsese. His movies are usually long, but I enjoyed seeing it. There's actually 11 that I really wanted to have in there, and there's one of them I had to kick off.
What about you, Rich? I know you're not a huge sci-fi dude, and I know that some of his catalog ventures there quite a bit.
No, I respect Ridley Scott as the director. He's got a great body of work, but I only found 6 that I would say are really top-notch films. My 7 and 8 are okay; they're watchable and stuff. And then my 9 and 10 I threw in there because I had to complete the task. But I've seen 20 of the 28 films in his catalog, and I would say about 6 of them are first rate. But enjoyable experience going. I went back and watched a couple of these that I hadn't seen in 10 years or so. And he's got a great style, and he hires the best people around him. His cinematographer is always top notch, and his scores are excellent. So there's a lot to like about Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I agree on all those counts, guys. Are really good. Tonight we're going to do it. The style that we do it is we'll go in order. Randy's going to go first tonight. Doc will go second, followed by Rich, and I get the bat cleanup tonight. Everybody's going to list all 10 of their movies, counting down from 10 down to 1, and talk as little or as much as you would like to. Please like and sub and comment down below with your top 10 Ridley Scott movies. I really like to get everybody's opinion on this one. And also make sure that you check out our other videos in our series that we had for the top 10 movies for each particular director and our top 5 movies from the years 1965 as we work our way through 1979. So without further ado, Randy, you're on deck, buddy.
All right. What made my number 10 was Kingdom of Heaven. It's a historical epic dealing with the Third Crusade in particular, and the defense of Jerusalem from the Sultan Saladin. It's a story of Balin the Ibelin. I might be mispronouncing that. Portrayed by Orlando Bloom, who led the defense of the city, which I thought he did a very good job. I do enjoy epics, and Ridley Scott is very good in this genre. Although there are many that say that you need to watch the director's cut of this, which has like 55 more minutes. I just watched the theatrical one because that's the one most people saw. And And actually, Roger Ebert liked this one more than he liked Gladiator. But he said he might have been too tough on Gladiator if he knew that Troy and Alexander were coming later. But
wow,
yeah,
awesome.
But I may see the director's cut later. But I enjoyed the movie Kingdom of Heaven. Number 9, one of the few comedies he has done, Matchstick Men, which it's kind of like if Monk from the TV series was a con artist. I don't like a lot of Nicolas Cage roles, but I thought he was very good in this one. He plays an obsessive, compulsive con man. I think that also has Tourette's, it seems like. But also has Sam Rockwell in it, and usually if Sam Rockwell's in it, it's going to be entertaining. And it also has this an elaborate sting and an ending that you don't really see coming, which I really enjoy. That's my 9. Number 8 is, I'm a kind of a sci-fi guy too. It's Prometheus. It's the prequel to Alien in a way. It's not a very good one. It kind of explores the questions of how man came to be. It's much different than Alien. That it sneaks in a lot of these clues they have to decipher. You know, keeps you wondering and exploring, ideas of our beginnings. But it also can be quite frightening, and then it throws a cool alien shot in at the end. So I was impressed with Prometheus. I enjoyed it. And number 7 is one I'm going to put in, even though it's not my kind of film, and it's Black Hawk Down. You know that I'm not a huge war movie person, and I don't usually, they seem too real to me sometimes, is maybe what it is. I don't know. But this one is very compelling with the disastrous mission in Mogadishu and Somalia. It's one of the most intense war movies, ranking up there with the Normandy beach scenes and Saving Private Ryan. I mean, it's tough to get through sometimes, but it's one of the most compelling movies I've seen, and probably one that I will never watch again. But very well done. All right, number 6. He puts on his Martin Scorsese pants and did American Gangster. Story of mobster Frank Lucas, played by Denzel Washington. He kind of uses his business acumen, become a drug lord, using these capitalistic measures where he kind of eliminates the middleman to become a big star in Harlem. He also can be brutal when crossed. It's also the story where Russell Crowe plays an agent, helps to bring him down, and fighting police corruption all at the same time. Very fine performances, I thought, by both Russell Crowe and Denzel, even though Denzel kind of steals the show. Number 5 is The Martian, kind of like Castaway in space.
Yeah.
Just minus the volleyball.
Yeah.
Matt Damon gets left behind. They think he has died, and he has to try to find a way to survive on Mars. And supposedly, a lot of the stuff that he does, it can be done, except they say that the storm that caused the whole thing at the beginning would not really that kind of storm would not really happen because of Mars's atmosphere. But anyway, it kind of shows he uses science to solve problems, and he refuses to give up. And kind of like science here is the hero, and it's kind of a novel concept in this day and age. My number 4 is Thelma and Louise, kind of a women's empowerment road picture, but it shows what the obstacles that can be found for females. Two friends, Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon, are set on this dangerous path by an incident that puts them kind of on the lam. I got Harvey Keitel, who plays the law enforcement officer that kind of figures out what's happened, and he tries to get them before tragedy happens. There's great chemistry between Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, and this movie just looks spectacular with the Western landscapes. I thought I was pretty amazed at that. Great road picture with the landscapes. All right. Number 3, I got Gladiator here. Another epic, this time concerning the power struggle in the Roman Empire. Russell Crowe was great as the Gladiator, and I like the promotional material because it just tells the story right there. The general who becomes a slave, the slave who becomes a gladiator, the gladiator who defies an empire. That's kind of it right there. Yeah. But also Joaquin Phoenix is great as the tyrant, a villain you really love to hate. Maybe one of the better ones. And it's his only Best Picture win, Ridley Scott.
Oh.
No, I'm not sure he even got nominated, though. Did he for that one?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think he did and lost to
maybe
the guy that did Traffic, won the director.
Okay. I mean, who names their kid Commodus? Come on. just wrong.
Number 2 is Blade Runner. He kind of creates an amazing futuristic world in Blade Runner. It came out in 1982, but it's set in 2019, and we haven't really made it to the Jetsons flying car age.
No.
2019, we didn't make it there, but we're kind of behind schedule, I guess, according to this movie. And you see advertising over there, so they got that right. But Harrison Ford's great as the Blade Runner, whose job is to hunt down replicants and retire them. Sean Young's character complicates things for him and his job. His conscience and his feelings get in the way and that. But really amazing movie. Just the look of it was totally different for that time period.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is, probably figured it out, Alien. One of the great horror sci-fi movies. It takes its time building the suspense and creates this kind of foreboding atmosphere. Sigourney Weaver as Ripley is the voice of reason and willing to make the tough decisions. It's too bad they didn't listen to her, or a lot of the stuff wouldn't have happened. But Carrie came in 76. Was that last one?
Yeah.
Had one of the best jump scares, and this one really rivals it. A certain one in this movie. I think it's one of the best horror movies, period, and that's going to be my number 1.
Nice.
Fantastic. Loved it.
Love your list.
I was going to say, the only thing I would have said there about the flying thing is, like in 1989, Back to the Future 2 came out, and they said that flying cars were going to happen in 2015. So let me give them a break on the Blade Runner there, missing by a couple of years on
2019, no flying cars, but I did smoke a doobie, and I did think I saw Roy Batty in 2019, but that's the story for another time. Probably laced with something, not sure.
Probably.
Doc, what do you got for yours?
It's a great list you got, Randy. That's what I would say. Some of this is going to sound pretty similar, I'd say, across the board. So my number 10, I'm going to go with The Last Duel, one of his more recent ones. I think it was it was a COVID movie, right? It came out during maybe the wrong time, and it's Matt Damon, it's Adam Driver, it's Ben Affleck. One of these epic period pieces that Randy touches on. And he's right. When he does some epic movies, he does some grand scale movies, and it really shows. And there's a period grand scale kind of flick, and it's just a battle of friendships and enemies all within the same group and the same people and the same characters, and how it unfolds and stuff like that. The Last Duel takes you through a sequence of these kind of events, and I'll touch on that later on in another movie. But I just think it's really well done. I think Matt Damon was really good in this, and I see why that they've hooked up more than once or twice here throughout their careers. Ridley's got the habit of doing that. He likes you, he's got you. So I just think it's one of those underrated ones, and it's more like one that I like. I like it. I enjoy it, actually. My number 9 is one Randy's touched on. So this sounds a little like Randy's list, if you want the truth in a lot of senses. So, but it may be the placement here. So my number 9 is American Gangster. This is a long gangster criminal movie here. Everything that Randy touched on is right. Denzel Washington as the guy trying to find a different way to cut out the middleman to start dueling after his boss dies, but he takes over the operation, shall we say. But Russell Crowe's trying to find things out on a different side. He eventually runs into him almost indirectly because of a corrupt cop and Josh Brolin, who I think, every time Josh Brolin's on screen in this movie, it's fantastic because his character is really a great character. I wish he was in this movie more, if you want the truth. But
Yeah.
you know, you got Russell Crowe, you got Josh, and you got Denzel in a gangster flick here at this. It's a really good movie, man. American Gangster is a good flick. So that's my number 9. Prometheus is my number 8. So, yeah, the prequel to Alien, shall we say, it has a lot of elements that I don't want to harp on things here, Randy. Your synopsis of some of these movies were pretty damn good. I'll say that. So, but yeah, that human element, and you know where it from the opening scene, really, on how it goes, and you know, aliens, and shall we say, you know, different things, finding different things out, shall we say. But Michael Fassbender's character as the droid, shall we say, throughout this movie, David is fantastic. He's really good at it, and you're right. As the movie goes along, it's not the fastest paced movie, that's for sure to start. But when it goes, you know, halfway through that, still, say halfway through the flick, so halfway through the second act, basically till the end, you know, there's some pretty good horror scenes, and it really has that alien feel to it as it moves along. But there is some really telling pieces throughout the story of Alien or Aliens, however you want to put it, that really piece it together from the back end here, which has a lot to the story as you go back and watch another movie. So Prometheus kind of gets overlooked, I think, maybe in the catalog too, but it's a great flick, man. Really good horror flick. Horror sci-fi, man.
Horror sci-fi. Yeah.
Great guy genre, if you want, man. So Black Hawk Down at number 7. So
wow.
Yeah, this is a real looking war flick, man. This is like you're in the heart of it. Yeah, it's vicious. It's violent. I think the camera shots are top notch. The night scenes are top notch. The day scenes, the way that really shows you what's going on during the Somalian Civil War here and what's going on, and how it's a Black Hawk Down, and you know, try to go in there and get these guys out of there. It's a disturbing movie at sometimes too, man. It's not a pleasant one to watch, but I can see why if you don't like horror or war movies and stuff like this can be a little off for you. But the story he's telling is pretty relevant, man. He tells it really well, and it's vicious. It's got a great cast, you know. Ewan McGregor, you got Josh Hartnett. They got the young cast at the time. You know, Orlando Bloom's in this, and you know, I think Sam Shepard's in this too. So it's got a great cast that floats around it. And Black Hawk Down, man, it's a really good war flick, and yeah, it's violent as hell at times too. So number 6. How do I do this now? I got The Martian at number 6. Matt Damon out there in space, you know, after something that happened to him where he thought that he's dead and all this other kind of stuff. But meanwhile, it's the right way to say it is exactly what he said. It's castaway in space, man. That's just him. It's him living his life, trying to survive on obviously Mars here is the deserted planet, and that's where he's left for basically on this mission. And I think Matt Damon, it's kind of like it's got a lot of comedy elements in the movie as well. It's very humorous at times. And he's like recording himself talking about different things and sick of his disco music that he has to listen to, but trying to keep himself. He's obviously smart as a whip anyway. You know, he's ingenious just to figure out a way to basically save his life and get off the planet. But yeah, The Martian's a really good flick, man.
If you could just figure out a way to keep Jessica Chastain's playlist from playing, right?
Playing, man, that's it. You know, I can't remember all the songs on there, but you know,
There's a lot of disco.
Disco, that's what I remember. The disco too, or something like that. Yeah. Leaves me number 5. Thelma and Louise, man. Thelma and Louise at number 5. You know, outside of Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, probably their best roles, maybe in their careers. You know, maybe Dead Man Walking for Susan Sarandon or something like that. But it's an adventure movie. It just kind of just goes askew for them as it goes along. Just things building on top of each other as it goes, and the story unfolds for them. And it doesn't go the best way. You know, Christopher McDonald is her husband. You know, Shooter McGavin. When she's trying to call back and stuff like this, it's just like he thinks they all Michael Madison the same way, and Harvey Keitel is chasing them down, trying to let things go off kilter here. And probably one of the first times you see maybe Brad Pitt. I don't know.
It's a very early role for him.
Very early role for him as well. but it's a coming of age movie for these two as they go along, and meanwhile they realize what their life is all about, and especially the final. It's got a lot of meaning to the movie, man. Thelma and Louise is you can see why it was one of the rated. It's got a lot of accolades for a lot of great reasons, man. This is a fantastic movie, and it still stands up today, if you ask me. Number 4. I got The Duelist at number 4.
Ooh.
This is really early, really bad, but this is I like this movie a lot, actually. So Keith Carradine and Harvey Keitel. This is, I think, his first movie, to be honest with you. So, but it's the real story of, should we say, of The Last Duel. So I like The Last Duel a lot. The Duelist I like a lot better, if you want the truth. I find it to be more realistic. These are swordsmen here in an era here where there's like war going on, where they're enemies and teachers, and the teacher teaching the student and the student teaching the teacher, that kind of stuff. And Harvey Keitel and Keith Carradine bouncing off each other as friends, and then enemies, and then comrades together during war, until it comes to the final scene where they actually have to face off against each other. And The Duelist, it's an epic piece. It's awesome to look at. It's gray. It's got a real feel to it. I just think, if this was his first movie, it's something special, man. And you can see why he's had such a storied career, if you want the truth. I think it's a great flick. My number 3 is The Blade Runner. Yeah, the replicants, and Rutger Hauer. Right, Rutger Hauer doesn't probably get enough love for this movie anyway. Who knew he was going to be a real human in the end, almost, in one sense. So, but what a great story, hunting down, they had like 6 or 7 that he had to hunt down, I think, in a town of 103 billion people or something like that. And basically droids, coming back to Earth and stuff like this. It's sci-fi, it's space, it's Harrison Ford, it's Rutger Hauer. It's a great story. And the action sequences are fantastic, and the story behind it, I just like, the sequences as they happen, the way it's shot, and the way you see it. I mean, it's a dark-looking movie, and it looks dark the whole time almost, and it's got a real feel to it. But it's the way that he shot the movie, man. It shows his directorial, like how he can show you a movie. It's dark, but it's great, man. You're seeing everything, and it's raining, and it's fighting, and it's a classic sci-fi dystopian kind of.
Scored by Vangelis.
Right down there, man. Soundtrack is fantastic. It's top notch. Easy to listen to, but visually it's incredible to look at as well. So, number 2 is Gladiator, man. So, I just flopped him out there for you, Randy. Sorry, buddy. So, but yeah, it's Maximus here is with Crow is. This is epic. This the battle scenes, from the opening battle scene to all the battle scenes that you see throughout this movie are on a scale almost second to none. On some senses, they're incredible, vicious, violent. Yeah, it's got the revenge factor and stuff like this of Maximus being told that somebody wishes he was his son and not freaking Joaquin here, but Joaquin is one of the crueler dudes, shall we say, that we see in a role. That he's a scumbag, man. That's all you can say. But
yeah,
it's epic. It's fantastic, and it's easy. It's one of those movies you can actually, when it's on, I don't care where it is, man. Keep it on, and I'll watch it. It's a guy flick in a lot of sense in my eyes. But Gladiator has a lot of great scenes, but they just pile on each other. So. Gladiator is a classic movie, man. Cool. But not as classic as Alien, my number 1. Yeah, the ultimate sci-fi horror movie in space, man. Horror movie in space, aliens, spaceships. I don't know. This is like the guy's dream, man. It doesn't get any better. Gore, suspense. It takes a long time before the suspense builds up so much in that movie. From the get-go. They already touched on it. If they just would have listened to Ripley at the beginning, man, we never got into the shithole that we went to anyway, but they did. So it's it's a long time before it actually unfolds, but the suspense just keeps building on it. You know, Harry Dean Stan's character, yeah, Kodo, there you go get Jonesy the cat. Before you know it, you know that's number 2 that's gone because we just had anything pop out of a guy's stomach, and here we go with Hurt getting his home. And, geez, it just goes on a real spiral ride, and it's a classic. I same way here. Alien and Aliens, I think, are 2 of the better sci-fi horror movies of all time, and some days it's flip a coin. That's right at the top, man. That's an easy number 1 for me for Ridley.
All right. So far, Alien is top spot for 2 of us.
For
Rich,
2.
you gonna have anything to say about that?
Maybe. Now, my list is, I think I have 6 or 7 that you guys have covered, and the ones at the bottom here, like I said, they're filler for me, but I wanted to get 10 in here. Number 10 for me is Black Rain. Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia as these New York City detectives escorting a criminal from New York to Japan, and the escapes, I guess. And there's all of a sudden they're plunged into this war with the underworld over there, the Yakuza, I think they call it. It's a stylized thriller, mediocre by my standards, but I'm a big Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia fan, so it's definitely worth checking out. Number 9, All the Money in the World. This is about the kidnapping of John Paul Getty III, starring Michelle Williams, Mark Wahlberg, and Christopher Plummer as J. Paul Getty, the grandfather, billionaire, richest man in the world at the time, I believe. It's an interesting story. It's not fully realized. There's something missing that I can't really quite pinpoint. Kevin Spacey originally was playing this role, and then that scandal hit, and they reshot all the scenes with Christopher Plummer. I don't know if that affected the outcome or not, but I don't know. It's just it's an okay movie. Christopher Plummer was nominated in the supporting actor category. Michelle Williams is always, to me, one of the best actresses around. Plays the mother of the kidnapped person here. It's decent. Number 9. Number 8 is one nobody had. Body of Lies from 2008, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. Kind of a complex, muddled CIA thriller. You can't trust anybody. DiCaprio's on the ground infiltrating the terrorism post 9/11 in the Middle East, in countries like Iraq and Syria and Jordan. It's kind of a tedious movie. It's well made. Everything looks right. Russell Crowe is the guy that's his superior, giving him instructions on who to meet next and backstab this and this. It's got intangibles that are missing, again, that doesn't add up to a meaningful film experience for me, but it hits at number 8. Number 7 is one you guys had, American Gangster, story of Frank Lucas, which Randy talked about, the Harlem drug lord. This takes place in the late 60s, early 70s, as Denzel wants to eliminate the middleman. He's importing heroin from Vietnam to the United States using military planes, which is a cool concept if you can get away with it. And Russell Crowe is the good cop. A lot of Serpico in his game, where he's not taking bribes and he's, trying to do things the right way. And Josh Brolin, on the other hand, is as crooked as they come. And you're right. Every time he's on screen, I love seeing him there because you're getting the other side of it. And where's he going to? Cuba Gooding Jr. is in here as well. Ruby Dee as Denzel's mother. To me, it's like a Serpico meets Training Day in the attitude and what you're getting out of it. It's got an interesting vibe. It's gritty. It's, if you like drug trafficking, gangster flicks, good cops, bad cops, explosive violence, take a ride with it. It's not bad. It's decent. Number 6. Now, this is where we get into the better movies in Ridley's catalog for me. And that's number 6 is Thelma and Louise, a road movie, female buddy picture, fugitives on the run. It addresses the sexism in society of these women that have been sort of driven down by men in their lives. Great performances by Sarandon and Gina Davis. Women that have been living these unhappy lives, and they sort of bond together. And they're not taking any shit anymore from anybody. It's a solid action film, two sympathetic characters that we feel for at the end, and extremely well made. Number 5, Gladiator. I put a little bit lower on my list than you guys, but nonetheless, it's historical epic, visually impressive, the great recreation of that time period, tale of revenge. The Colosseum fights are awesome. Russell Crowe definitely commands the screen. This is a huge performance by him. Again, it's not my favorite genre by any means, but it's superbly well done, and you can't discount that. Joaquin Phoenix, again, you got to give him props as the villain. Number 4 is Blade Runner. Harrison Ford is perfectly cast in this movie. Sort of, I don't know what you would call his attitude, but he's sort of just a gumshoe sort of in a way. It's sci-fi meeting film noir in a way. A great world created here by Ridley Scott, and the production design, the cinematography, fantastic. The score by Vangelis is haunting. It's an original movie. You don't see, and especially for the time it was made, dark, bleak, futuristic, visionary masterpiece. Special effects are ahead of its time too. So I'm going to give that my number 4. Number 3 is Black Hawk Down. I just couldn't get away from it. Somalia, the Battle of Mogadishu. It's civil war. You got famine going on. Very realistic, as you guys mentioned, and it puts you right in the middle of the action. I mean, you're at ground level, seeing all this gruesome stuff going on. It's very intense. Again, the United States gets involved in some of these missions and stuff, and this comes across as a documentary to me, as opposed to an action film. It's so realistic. There's no holds barred. There's a guy that just gets basically cut in half, and you just see him laying there. It's unbelievable. It's well done. It's not like some Michael Bay mindless action film. This is the real deal, man. This takes you there, blood and guts, and it goes by pretty quick, I think, just being in that setting. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is The Martian. I really like this movie. It's unique, story of survival of Matt Damon's character up there on Mars, and it is humorous. Got a lot of humanity too. It's pretty straightforward in the storytelling with the science and how they're going to get him, how they're going to get up there and retrieve him and get him back to Earth. I'm not sure exactly how they do it in the movie, but it takes like so many light years and this and that. I mean, it's beyond me. Great special effects. I like the fact that it doesn't have the usual horror tropes, or sci-fi tropes. You don't have monsters up there. There's no aliens. There's no gun battles. It's no fantasy. It's just a straightforward, poor man, this guy's left up. We thought we gave him up for dead, and now we got to go get him back. And it's a quality flick. Jeff Daniels in here is a good supporting role. Number 1 is Alien. I'm on board with you guys. I just think it's too perfect for the genre it represents, and multiple genres. It's a horror film, it's a sci-fi film, it's a suspense film, because it takes a while to build up to it's atmospheric, which is all great, and just the right amount of gore to frighten you. It's not too much. It's just when those moments come, though, they're big time.
They're good.
The tagline for this, and I guess the trailer: "In space, no one can hear you scream." Pretty effective. So that's my number 1, Alien.
There we go. All right. 3 for 3 on Alien here. Let's see if that holds true the rest of the way. Number 10 for me, I've got All the Money in the World here. When we're doing Ridley Scott here, I think I was talking to some of you guys earlier that I felt like he had a very upper tier of maybe 3 or 4 movies. Then it felt like there was just a lot of really good movies. So it just come down to preference. I think Rich touched upon it. It does feel like there's some weird chemistry problems, and I think maybe it's because the reaction shots probably were still reaction shots when Kevin Spacey was maybe feeding them the lines, and not necessarily when Plummer was actually feeding them the lines. I think that had that weird feel of a disconnect, but still, Christopher Plummer does a fantastic job in it, and I'm like you, Rich. I'm a big fan of Michelle Williams, so I like the movie for that reason. Number 9, I have The Martian here. Really great cast, and Jessica Chastain, Sebastian Stan, Matt Damon, about an astronaut that's left behind on Mars. By mistake, they thought he was dead, and then they have to turn around. They devise a plan to turn around and go back and get him, and all the dynamic involved in that. Like you spot, Jeff Daniels is in this as well. Donald Glover has a role too as a NASA scientist who helps kind of formulate a plan. He did a very good job in it as well. Very good cast. For me, it was just a very good film. But I mean, it's one you could probably just watch if it came on TV. You wouldn't turn it off. You'd probably just go along for the ride. Number 8 for me, I've got The Last Duel here. This was one of the new ones that I watched that I had not seen before. It stars Matt Damon and Driver as two individuals who have basically they engage in the last duel ever known in the country of France, based on a allegation of sexual assault from one of them's lovers. So I thought it was a very good period piece, very well shot. I like the cinematography and the set designs, and the costuming is all very authentic for the time period and stuff. But still, kind of just a very good movie to me. I'm not even sure if I'd go back and watch it at any point now that you just kind of got the substance of it. Number 7, I've got Prometheus here. Obviously, I've watched all the movies involved in the Alien franchise. I thought very superb cast here. I mean, Charlize Theron's in this. Guy Pearce has a role as well. Idris Elba in here. And Michael Fassbender is just fantastic as David, the synthetic individual. It doesn't really. I think as a fan of Alien, I kind of suspected that this was a prequel to Alien, but they don't really give it all away at the beginning by any means. They kind of drag you a little bit to where you might say, "Is it really? Is it?" And then they finally kind of give you the ending that tells you that it actually is. So I mean, a little bit of fanfare maybe, but still, it's an entertaining sci-fi movie. Number 6, I have Black Hawk Down here for all the reasons you guys have already mentioned. It's a very hard watch. It's not a movie that I could watch with kids in the room or even Shelley in the room, because Shelley absolutely just hates violence of that magnitude. But I thought it was very realistically shot. I like the movies where it feels like you're there with them, the sounds and even the grittiness and the dirt and everything, the explosions, everything that's going on. You feel like you're there with them. Mm-hmm. Such an authentic type of movie in that regard that I wanted to include it in the top 10. But really, the top 5 here for me were going to be the top 5 no matter what. Even having not seen a couple of the other movies, I just couldn't see any other movie in his catalog breaking in. I've got American Gangster at number 5 here. I thought all around great performance from Denzel Washington in it, and Crow and Brolin. Idris Elba is even in this one in a very small role. Cuba Gooding Jr. is also in it. I just think Denzel's poised approach to the whole role I thought was very good. And it is a long movie, but it didn't really feel that long. But wanted to include it here. Number 4, Thelma and Louise. I mean, I didn't think it was really good. I rewatched it again. Hold on one second. I rewatched it again just to make sure. And because I remember us watching it in film class, and we were kind of studying it from a feminist perspective a little bit. It's, two female characters, and it's nice to see that they were the strong female leads in the character, but they were suffering from a traumatic event. Obviously, if you watch the movie, everybody knows what that is, and then they go on the lam because of it, and during the whole trip, there's a self-realization that they really weren't happy with the lives that they had anyway, that they were a victim of their circumstances for their entire life, and not just from this one thing. And for that reason, I thought it was very good feminist messaging there. I think, Doc, maybe this may be Gina's second best role. I kind of like her a little bit more in Accidental Tourist, I think, probably. But certainly between this and Dead Man Walking for Susan Sarandon, I don't know if I'd have to compare the two again, but she was really strong in both movies. Wanted to include it. Number 3 for me, I've got Gladiator here. Again, great movie. I'm enamored with the acting in it. It's got some smaller characters like Demon Hanshu's in the movie as well. I thought he was very good in it. But Joaquin Phoenix, it just steals the show as Emperor Commodus, the estranged son of what's his name's character, that basically assumes control, illegally in some sense, because his father was going to leave the kingdom actually to Maximus to rule until he could get the Senate back in place to actually rule the nation. And his father is killed by Commodus before that could happen, and then Commodus basically just steals the throne, steals control of the country. Commodus is not a very popular emperor, so of course, what does he do? You got to distract the masses, and what's the best way to do that? Yeah, the games, right? The Gladiator games, and people will get all thrilled up for watching people kill each other, and they don't think about how hungry they are. So. Number 2 for me, I've got Alien at number 2, guys. I'm really sorry here. I mean, it is one of my favorite movies of all time. Certainly, great cast. I mean, it's got Tom Skerritt in it, Veronica Cartwright is in it, Harry Dean Stanton. Some of the information that you realize, like by the time you watch Aliens and you take time to dissect Aliens, you realize that this crew was actually put together intentionally, because they were all expendable. Because you find out in Aliens, by looking at the data screen behind Ripley, that all these people had things that were wrong with them. The doctor had a history of alcoholism. Veronica Cartwright was actually transgender, and that was looked down upon. And then Sigourney Weaver had a kid, which was actually forbidden by the company. And then but they allowed her to still serve with the company. So they all had just that one thing that could be held against them, and that they felt they would be expendable. So basically, from the onset of the film, they were sent there with the very intent to go to that planet no matter what. That's the insinuation that you kind of get when you look at it from a two film standpoint rather than a one film. But Ridley Scott just basically, he steals the show with the directing of this film. Just the way everything is shot, how intricately the alien is like hidden within the framework sometimes in the dark shots, where you don't even see him at first until someone maybe points it out on, if they freeze the frame, but you can actually see the head of the alien kind of blending in with the background. Very, very well shot. So Alien's number 2 there for me, but number 1 for me, because Blade Runner is in my top 10 movies of all time. I think it's the ultimate science fiction dystopian film ever. Harrison Ford plays the Blade Runner who has to track down all these replicants who are essentially looking for what we all look for, which is more time, something that's not afforded to anybody that's alive, but they have a very short lifespan as a means of control for their population. That's only 5 years, and these individuals escape, and they're coming to Earth to find their maker and to try to bargain for more time. Rutger Hauer has several great scenes in it. One where he meets his maker, and he says, his maker tells him, he goes, Roy, he said, a candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you have burned ever so brightly. And right after that, of course, he kills his makers and goes on this crazy spree after that. But the Tears in the Rain soliloquy, which is at the end of the film, which is highly talked about, completely improvised by Rutger, wasn't in the book by Philip K. Dick. If you haven't read that novel, you should. I think it's Do I Dream of Electric Sheep is the name of the novel that it's based on, but well worth checking out. And sorry to break the trend there, guys, and putting Blade Runner there at the number 1 spot. So we did it. We actually did pretty well, though. I think we had overall, I'm not sure how many matches we had. I know we mentioned 15 different movies.
15 movies and 7 matches.
7 matches. Wow.
7.
That goes to show you a little bit of credence there to our list.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. I thought for a moment there, actually, me and Randy and I were going to have the exact same 4 in the exact same order at the top, but he switched it, Alien and Blade Runner. I thought for sure we were going to hit that on.
See that? Yep.
The one I didn't, believe it or not, the one that I liked some of the casting in that I didn't put in here was actually G.I. Jane. I thought Viggo Mortensen's character in it was fantastic, but I didn't like the premise of the movie. Just seemed too convenient and too trite to me to be believable. It didn't feel right. I mean, I appreciate that Demi Moore went through all the vigors to be in shape for that type of role and everything, but it still didn't feel real.
I
Something
think
about it didn't
the
feel
movie
real.
was a product, I think, of the time.
Yeah,
That's what
I
that
think
was.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I did like Vigo's performance. That
Yeah, sure.
may be a reason that I would have even kept it up.
Randy, what was your number 11 that you said you didn't want to leave off?
It was The Last Duel.
Okay.
And because I just watched that, and what's her name? Jodie Comer? What
Yeah.
Jodie Comer. Yeah.
But if I don't know if you've watched Killing Eve, I see her so much in that thing. I was just waiting for her to go out and just stab a bunch of people. You don't believe me?
She's great in Killing Eve, but I didn't see the movie. I didn't see The Last Duel.
Right. Well, what about you guys have any other ones that you want to mention that were close?
Well, I had Black Rain that was on Rich's list. Body of Lies was also, I think, Rich, you probably had that on your list as
I
well.
had that. Yeah.
And I think the underrated other one that I think is pretty good is Alien Covenant. That just missed for me.
Yeah. I thought about that one too.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. There's only 10 spots, so those were my 10.
Exactly.
I don't have any runners up. I exhausted my 10.
Exhausted it, just getting the 10 that you got, right? All right. Well, there you guys. You have it. That's our top 10 for Ridley Scott. Be sure to sub, like, or subscribe down below if you haven't subscribed already. Check out our other videos, please, of the other directors. We have Spielberg up, Tarantino, Scorsese. Who else are we missing here?
Coen Brothers.
Yeah, the Coen Brothers. Yes, check all those out as well.
Right.
We have other lists too that we're trying to formulate together once we vote on it and everything, and we'll let you guys know. But thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next vid. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.